Hello, everyone. So let me go ahead and get this loaded. Let me go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Hannah Orndorff. I am a 4-H All-Star, and I was lucky enough to be the 2020 Summer Extension Intern. So you might be wondering what this is about. So I've been elected, now what? So this is actually going to be your guide and just some basics about being an officer of your club and being newly installed. So get ready, get excited, and be open minded about what we're about to learn. Alrighty, so just a quick welcome. Obviously, as I stated, this is going to be the large group session. If you were unable to attend or if this session is being held virtually, depending upon what's happening in the world as you all are having your training this year, this is going to be a resource from now on for everyone. So it's super exciting that I'm going to be able to do this. And like I said, be open minded, be ready to share if you are in person, and just kind of be like mentally processing everything as we're talking about it and just sort of think through everything that's being said. Go ahead to the next slide. So, if you were in person, you'd be doing an icebreaker. It would be dependent upon obviously social distancing and the group size. So, unfortunately, on the virtual setting, we aren't going to be doing one of these. All right, so why are we here today? So, we're here to learn more about being leaders, to learn more about your specific officer responsibilities, to build teamwork and trust in the club and officer team, and to see how other officer teams work and function across the county. So, obviously, like I mentioned, this is the larger group session, and you all are going to go into breakout sessions later, or you're going to watch your breakout session later. That's also going to be narrated by me. And basically, from there, you're going to get to see how you should be doing this. You may have had a different position before, maybe you've never served in a position at all. Either way, congratulations, and let's get underway. So, what makes a good leader? I'm sure there's a few thoughts that you have in your head, but these are just some core traits of a good leader. Being a team player, being thoughtful of others, being helpful, a good sport, reliable and responsible, celebrating others' success, being fair, and having fun. Most of all, having fun. 4 H is this organization that brings together a bunch of different people. I know that when I was in 4 H, I got to meet a lot of different people that had livestock. I had never really even been around livestock before that. A pig, sheep, any of that wasn't familiar to me, and all of a sudden I was having opportunities to talk to people that had been raising them my whole life. So then when you're stepping into a leadership position, you're overseeing those people. You're making decisions for the club. You're leading this club. So being things like being thoughtful of maybe their thoughts, being helpful to them with maybe a project book, things like that. So just always being aware of what maybe you could be doing better, what you are doing well. So watch out for gossiping, exaggerating in half truths, being a snob, swearing, teasing, unconstructive criticism, and wearing your feelings. So most of this stuff is not personal. It shouldn't be made personal. It's kind of where the feelings come in. Another thing you really need to think about is being a leader is being an example for the rest of the club. So, if you're standing up there and you're gossiping about someone before the meeting starts, and a younger member hears that, their impression of their president, of their reporter, of their historian, of their treasurer, secretary, whatever position you are, is, oh, it's okay to be doing this because my such and such leader is. Those are things you have to think about and be aware of. Alrighty, so we're going to go through the parts of a club meeting or the order of business. This is going to be pretty cool to go through each piece, and I'm going to walk through it. So to begin, there's a call to order and the pledges. So the president will stand and strike the gavel and say, "This meeting of the blank 4-H club will come to order. Please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance led by Susie and the 4-H pledge led by Tom." So make sure that if you are president or whoever decides this, maybe your recreation leader, vice president, that these two people are different every meeting. This is a chance to get some younger member involved because most of them already know the Pledge of Allegiance. Most of them know their 4-H pledge. So make sure to get some other people involved in that than you might normally. So then you have roll call. The president will, as they are still standing, say, "The secretary will call roll." So the list of names is read, and then the secretary reports the number of members absent and present, as well as if there are enough members for a quorum. So as you can see, there's an asterisk there. A quorum is the minimum number of members that are needed to conduct business. That's a part of parliamentary procedure. So that's going to be different for every club. So that's something you will need to talk to your group leaders about and your club leaders about to figure out what your quorum is that you all will need in case you have to do any voting, and that's typically what it means by club business, is if you have to have any official votes. So then we have the reading of the minutes. So the president will say the secretary will read the minutes of the last meeting. So then the secretary will read the minutes. The president will say, are there any corrections or additions to the minutes as read? If not, the minutes stand approved as read. So there will be a pause here to make sure that if there are any additions to the minutes or corrections, and that's where this comes in. So with corrections or additions, the president asks them to be made, then says the minutes stand approved as corrected. So next is a treasurer's report. So the president will say we will now have the treasurer's report, and the treasurer will give a report of money received, money spent, and the present balance. And the president will say, are there any questions about the treasurer's report? If not, the report is received as read. So if you have questions about these, don't be afraid. Even as an officer, maybe you have something that was a question when you were a younger member. Oh, it skipped forward a few. Alrighty, so just, again, don't be afraid to ask questions. So other reports, this is where the president will ask for any other reports, such as additional officer reports, committee reports, or leaders' reports. So this is kind of sort of up to your club and how they like to function. Maybe your leaders get up every meeting. Maybe they just hand out something to you all at each month's meeting. Again, this is all dependent upon your club's preferences. So unfinished business. The president will first say, Secretary, were there any motions postponed until this meeting? That's another piece of parliamentary procedure that you can postpone until the next meeting. More than likely, your club isn't doing this unless you have some major decisions that you need to wait to have a quorum or anything else like that. But if not, the president will continue by saying, is there any other unfinished business? If not, we will proceed to new business. So new business will happen, and the president will say, is there any new business to be brought before the club? That's where anything new is going to be discussed. So say it's a month before the bike-a-thon. This is the perfect section to be discussing the bike-a-thon. But if it's a month after the bike-a-thon, this is not the place for this to be spoken about. So announcements. The president will say, are there any announcements? So this is where dates of upcoming activities and meetings can be announced. So you're going to announce the next meeting's time and date. You might announce when the bike-a-thon or achievement night or share the fun, depending upon the time of year. You might have a special program happening in 2 weeks. This is where you should be announcing these. So then adjournment occurs. And the president will say, is there any further business to come before the meeting? If there's none, then the president will say, is there a motion to adjourn? And then a motion is made and seconded, the meeting is adjourned. So here is another opportunity to get someone involved. Because when you are asking for a motion to adjourn, you're giving someone else a chance to speak. Maybe one of your younger members is just super excited because this is their chance to say, I move to adjourn. And they get excited, someone will second it, and then everyone gets to vote. This is some really cool times for your younger members, so make sure to do things like this and keep that in mind. So here's some parliamentary procedure basics. I've been mentioning this word a lot. Basically, it's just the order in which meetings should run. There's a book called Robert's Rules of Order, and that can be really cool to read through if you do like parliamentary procedure. I actually have competed nationally for parliamentary procedure through FFA, and it's a really cool event, and there's a lot of really cool things that you actually can do in meetings. So to begin, what is a motion? So there's 2 types of motions. There's a main motion and an amendment. These are the motions that will occur in your meetings. So a main motion is the beginning of an idea for an action to be taken by the club. For example, I move that we donate $30 to the Paper Clover, I can't remember what it's called, but what they hold at Tractor Supply. So say that goes through, someone seconds it, perfect. However, there's also an amendment that can change the main motion. So you have on the table, I move that we donate $30 to the paper clovers at Tractor Supply. Someone can step in and say, I move that we amend the motion by, and then state how they would like to change it. So that's where we're going to come to that later about how to get more in depth with amending motions. So what exactly is going to happen after someone says, I move to blank, blank, blank? So someone will second the motion, and the secretary is going to be recording who makes the motion as well as the second. Then there's going to be discussion. This is going to be where you can have amendments and just talk about it and sort of think through what the motion is stating. So then next you'll have voting. So there's a few different ways. Typically it's a voice vote, which is all those in favor say aye, all those opposed say nay. So that's how most clubs do their voting. You can do standing, raising hands, ballot, which can be a secret ballot, or by calling roll with a response of aye or nay. So those are just a few different ways to do voting. Like I said, most will do voice votes. So amending a motion can include, so there's 3 different ways. So the first could be inserting or adding a word or phrase. So I'm going to go ahead and use the example that we had so it'll look a little bit different than what's listed here. I move to amend the motion by adding or inserting the words Woodstock after Tractor Supply. So now the motion would read, if it's approved, I move that we donate $30 to the paper clovers at Tractor Supply Woodstock. Because you want to clarify which Tractor Supply you're talking about. So that's a really good amendment to make sure there's clarification. Another way is to strike out a word or phrase. So, for example, if someone didn't want to list that it was the paper clovers, they just want to donate $30 to Tractor Supply, which really wouldn't make any sense, which is why you can actually vote no on amendments. Striking out a word or phrase. So I move to strike the phrase Tractor Supply from the motion. Obviously, that wouldn't read correctly anymore, so that would be denied. So then there's to substitute a word, phrase, or entire statement. So this could be like, I move that we amend the motion by substituting the words 30 with $45. $30 with $45. So instead of it saying, I move that we donate $30, it would say, I move that we donate 45. So once amendments occur and the amendments pass, it's good for the secretary or president to read the motion at hand again once you have amendments happening. So, the script for a motion. This is another one. So, this is another good example. So, I move to donate $30 to the 4-H All-Stars, which is really cool. They might be having an event. Member 2 will say, I second that motion. The president will say, a motion has been made. Is there any discussion? This is where discussion, amendments, all that's going to happen. If there's no discussion, the president will say, there's been a motion to blank donate $30 to the 4-H All-Stars. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Then the motion has passed or failed depending upon what happens. So next is a section about our 4-H club committees. So these are going to be specific to your club. So some of the functions of committees are providing members with extra involvement and leadership. They can make business meetings go smoothly since detailed planning can be done outside of your regular meetings, and it can incorporate several people's ideas, and it's more effective than just one person's opinion. So obviously you don't want one person making all decisions, and this is a good way to get others involved. So 4-H club committee member duties include attending all their meetings, participating in discussions, reaching group decisions and supporting them, helping chairmen with their reports, completing all assigned tasks before meetings, adding items to the agenda when necessary, expressing yourself calmly and clearly, being flexible and open-minded, and asking questions if you don't understand. These are all pretty important things and duties of a committee member. So, you all have now been through your large group session. As you can see, there aren't room numbers listed here because we are virtual. If you are in person, there would have been room numbers listed. So now you're going to go and choose the section in which you are going to be for your office and listen to your breakout session. Good luck.